Welcome to the Sharkpreneur Podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Green. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Green is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Green. Today, I've got the good fortune to be joined by Rich Kozak from Impact Driven Publishing and RichBrands. Rich, thanks so much for joining us.
Seth, it's my pleasure. Great to be here.
Great to have you. Let's go back in time. You've had quite a storied career. How did you get started in the business?
Well, let's define the business. Overall, it's defining and languaging brands so they come alive and attract, and then launching them. And that means clearly defining and language them, and strategy first and marketing second. So a lot of different a degree in marketing and international business, and a lot of different steps along the way that were a variety of marketing. So a marketing research firm, industrial sales, working with a Fortune 50 company, marketing inside a factory, being on a product team and being a product manager, a lot of aspects, and then working for an agency that puts it all together and running new business and teaching big companies the process of what it means to define and language or redefine or reshape your brand to make it really successful at its business strategy. So it was a process. Everything was marketing. I was even elected to the board of directors of the American Marketing Association for a couple of years as a volunteer, but I ran the chapters in Southern California. So it seems like it's all about marketing, but marketing at its best is the execution of a excellent branding strategy. And what I do today is work with individuals who want to impact other people's lives or the world in some important positive way, and help them, give them clarity that is so often missing, and language that defines and languages their brand so consistently that they race to their impacts and abundance and find an easier way to get into their purpose. So it's a little bit more than just what people think about as branding, and it's almost backwards. It comes from inside you. It doesn't get slapped on outside you. So thanks for asking.
Of course. So your career's evolved and your client base has obviously changed and evolved over the years. And I'd like you to talk a little bit about the changes that you've made in order to better serve your client base now.
Working with individuals, whether they're solopreneurs and have a vision, or they've been doing something for 20 or 30 years and they want to take it to another level. It's an individual. It's not a marketing communications team, or it's not a CEO's C-level reports. You don't have to report to a board. There's no big company. It's not business to business because you're not selling to you're not listening to a variety of voices. You're focused on one person who, let's call them the champion of the brand, even if there's lots of other people involved. But it's their vision for it and what it does, and their vision for their work or their gift, or sometimes they feel it's a calling, but they struggle with branding. So that's the common denominator. Big companies struggle with branding, particularly if they're led by people who aren't marketing people. They think it's airy-fairy, stuff. And they don't realize it's a process, like they build factories or pipelines through jungles, and marketing or defining languaging brand is a process just like that. It's in steps, and helping them reshape how they think about branding it's the same thing. Individuals, same thing. They've been affected by everybody who tried to sell a marketing service that would be good for their branding. And they have this either confused or frustrating or intimidating feeling or picture of what branding is for them. They know they need it. That's what they say, but they don't really like it or trust it. But they want to impact the world. And then we find each other.
That was going to be my next question. So who is an ideal client for you now? Because if I understand correctly, you have previously done this at companies, worth billions and billions of dollars, and you now you pivoted. So talk about what inspired that pivot.
Well, I resigned what I considered an addictive career, and I won't blame the career. I was the addict. I was addicted to partners in 21 countries and new language every phone call. And it was a buzz, but I found myself heading for a heart attack, I think would be the shortest way to say it, when I was 50, and I resigned what I consider an addictive career to reshape my life, thinking that being a dead guy was that young was probably not why I'm here. And I prayed, I'm ready. Show me what you want me to do. And so I was done. I don't do branding anymore. Those words came out of my lips. And it was a few years later when individuals in my other network started asking me to help them because they knew my background, and they told me I never stopped. I sat around the table one-on-one and gave them language. I just wasn't charging them for it, but I never stopped. And when I started doing it with people that really had a desire in their hearts to make the world a better place for other people or for the world, I realized it's a gift. It's not a skill. I used to think it was me. I'm over it. It flows through me. So now I'm one of those people that is in joy because I know I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. The path I've taken to get here, if I look backwards, in the rearview mirror, which I often say tear off the rearview mirror because it can be unhealthy too. But when I see that this journey has prepared me perfectly to do this. And so the weird thing, Seth, and hopefully you'll appreciate this, is at the agency, dealing with large companies and clients and pressures and deadlines and a lot of people's lives, there's a lot of pressure, and it felt like work, even though I loved it and I was addicted to it. What I do now, which is the same thing, but for individuals who are impact driven, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like exactly what I'm made for, and I love it. So I say it feels like love, but that sounds kind of wishy, kind of like soft, but it truly, the people whose brands I'm helping to define in language and launch will touch millions of people. And I get to do this work. So I don't have to, I get to. That's probably one of the biggest differences. The process is still the same. It's just the reason I do it and who I do it for has changed.
And that's beautiful. So let's talk about the magical transformation that you're engineering for your clients.
Oh, stories are best. Can I just give you a couple?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So I have a woman who is she's a retired. Oh, you asked me who my best clients are. Let me give you a very succinct answer to that. Sometimes it's people who they're like three. They've done something for 20 or 30 years and they want to take it to another level, but they don't know how to build those stairs, and branding is an enigma or frustration to them. And they find me and they go, oh my gosh, this guy really listens. I think he's one. Okay. Or they just came up with something, or they realize they have a unique method, but they don't have a reputation and they, quote, need a brand, but they're committed to it. And they're serious about it. And it's coming from inside them in their heart, not from some, I can make $1 million head trip. Okay. And the other is they've done something for 20 years and they're like, I'm over that. And we hear it a lot more these days. It's kind of the great, whatever it's called, right? The great, whatever it's called. Anyway, and they go, I want to do what I love. or I've always wanted to do this, or I've been preparing to do this and now I'm going to do this, but I don't have an identity. I don't have a brand, and I don't want to get this wrong. So they're successful for often decades, and then they're ready to do something else, but they're not branding people, and they want somebody that understands what they really want to do and how they feel, and make sure it comes alive, and they don't know how to do that. And so those are the three. So thanks for asking. And if you're listening to this and you find yourself there, if I forget, I'm going to say it right now, and Seth will probably give you away, but if you want to talk about you, just if you get a hold of me, I'll hop on a Zoom call with you. I mean, it'll be a blessing to your business and possibly your life. So the journey, the marvelous eye-opening journey. Here's some stories. Someone in one of my networks knows a woman that she meets with and a bunch of other women every week. She tells the woman, you know what, you should write a book. And I know a guy. And that was me. And so this lady calls me and says, I was referred to you because she told me I should write a book and you do that. You're the publishing company. So tell me about that. Well, she's a retired HR person. Turns out, though, what she's doing is she's sending out a message on text every week with some comment, and it's touching people's lives. And she knows she's supposed to do this, but she has no idea. She's not a marketing person. She was HR, it's just like not a marketing person at all. She comes to my half day, and here's what it means to define in language a personal brand as an umbrella brand that's totally you. She decides and pays to come to a one-day workshop where we do all 7 steps in microcosm, and people go, oh my God, I can't believe my brand is coming alive, like right in front of me. And it's their language and their feeling. And other people are listening to their story and giving them language, and it's coming alive, and it's them. My mother's an English teacher. She would say it is they. It's a predicate nominative, but okay. She's in heaven. Mom, I hear you though. It's a gift. It's a blessing. So, and then she goes, okay, I'm going to do this on trust. And she signs up to do a 7-day over 8 weeks brand accelerator group. We define in language your brand. She has just finished chapter 3 of her first book, and it's a book in a series of 6. She has a brand. It has language. It's powerful. It's attractive. She never could have done that herself. She wouldn't have known the first step. And she talks now. She'll say, oh, that would be really congruent with my brand. Oh, that would get me credit for my top 3 characteristics. Oh, she's like coming alive. And she wasn't that person before. And all she has now that she didn't have before is 2 things: clarity and consistent language that transfers energy. And so the biggest aha transformation, and I'll give you another story. A fellow comes to me and says, I've been doing IT for decades, information technology for decades, helping people with their computers and systems. But in 2014, I saw the convergence coming. A lot of small businesses are going to get killed by internet criminals because they're getting more and more sophisticated, and they don't care how big they are. They're going to get into our computers, steal data, sell it, and then they're going to get fined because there's all these data security laws, and then they're going to get sued, and they're going to lose their house, and all the people that work for them are going to be out of it. It's like, it's going to be horrible. And I'm creating a company based on what I know called, and he says, I need a name for it. And it's going to help really small companies like you, Seth, and me, like 1 person, 2, 3, 4, maybe up to 10 people. No managed service provider wants a client with 10 people. They want 25, or the drill. He wants 1 or 10, and help them automate the process of being in compliance with data security laws, so it blocks all this, all the attacks. There were 628 million ransomware attacks last year. That's like a lot. And they're hitting everybody. And so now, again, his website's up. It's totally clear. The name of the company is Compliance Specialists. The website, Compliance Specialists USA. And now he automates the process for the smallest US companies that they can afford to make sure they become compliant and remain compliant with data security laws, which are just growing and encroaching. And it's just getting worse. And he will save and protect millions of companies to grow. when they otherwise wouldn't, because they would be flat on their backs. So it's exciting watching local entrepreneur who has a gift that, because of the internet, could be shared worldwide, and turning them, evolving them with appropriate consistency into a global brand that talks, that is conversational and attractive, just like in a lot of countries, and putting testimonials on their website with country flags. There's a website called The Breath of New Life. The woman she's a breath therapist, but it's a healing modality, and people listen to her on a podcast, and things happen to them. It's like, and so these days, because of what virtual events and the power of the internet can do, and you could speak for weeks on this because you're such an expert at direct marketing. If a brand has consistent language that transfers energy and does the 4 things that make a brand come alive and understands it, they can impact a lot of lives. And the missing piece that people get in the process is the clarity. There are 2 kinds. One is when a brand says, "Hey, Seth, this is what I see for you." Your ears perk, your antenna go like, "Whoop! This is what I see for you. I know it might seem difficult, but you know what? Take my arm. We'll take you there." The clarity of that picture is magnetic. That's one of the pieces of clarity that's missing, and how to say it and how to picture it. The other is internal. Whom do we clearly see in the case of an entrepreneur? Whom do I, if you will, clearly see impacting through my work or my gift when my brand thrives? And I really want to impact them. Is that single mom with a special needs child with autism that doesn't know how she'll provide for the child if something happens to her? Is it a couple ready to retire? Is it a teenager who has wants to go to college? Who is it? We write the clarity of that and the clarity of saying, "Here's what I see for you." Those 2 things are missing in brands, and they fall flat. They fall flat. The big ones, billion-dollar companies. That $14 billion company that was my largest had 380 some verified global experts, and they weren't getting credit. You don't get credit. Everybody gets the articles. We don't get that. You should know better. But I've talked to one solopreneurs, and they're like, "We do this so well, but we don't get credit." There are such common things. We don't get credit. We need better ways to say what we do. We're not getting appropriate traffic to our website that's our target audiences. We don't know how to position ourselves to get paid what we're worth. All of these kind of things are very mundane words out of a business person's mouth. When a brand is clearly defined and languaged so it attracts, those things go away. And when people realize, and they don't have to fake it, like, "Seth, boy, you're on the Robin Hood of," it's like, we don't have to become something that we're not. We just reach inside of our hearts and literally access our own authenticity. Now that's branding that people are ready for, particularly those who want to impact others' lives. They want to be genuine. They want to step into their purpose, and they don't want to have trivial, fakey stuff that they think branding is. And so,
that is beautifully said. We know your time's incredibly valuable. We greatly appreciate you spending some of it with us. For our folks who are watching or listening, who want to learn more, where is the best place for them to go to learn more about you and all of the work that you are up to?
I would say go to thebrandyouwillbecome.com, all spelled out. And you is YOU, thebrandyouwillbecome.com. We offer a series of 8 1-2 minute videos answering, and I'm on video answering. So you're going to hear straight talk, no funny stuff, no jargon, straight talk, answering questions about branding that you really want to ask. A lot of people ask all the time, but you might not have somebody to ask. thebrandyouvillbecome.com. And the other way, just take my email, send me an email. I hand out something called the Blueprint. It's the basis of my book that's coming out, Impact-Driven Branding, 7 Steps to Ensure Your Brand Impacts People's Lives in the World. Send me an email, just rich@RichBrands, RichBrands.org. Don't get that part wrong. RichBrands.org, and say Blueprint. You want to tell me about yourself? Great. You just say Blueprint, I'll send it to you. And frankly, if you ask me to hop on a Zoom call with you, you might find yourself on a Zoom call talking about you.
Well, we greatly appreciate your time. We know it's valuable. This has been Seth Green with Rich Kozak of Impact Driven Publishing and RichBrands. Rich, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Seth. What a blessing.
Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.